Oh, I'm proud to be a Marine. Don't.
25 to life. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Ever, yeah. No. There's no such thing as an ex-Marine. And, someone says, are you a Marine? Yeah. Even if I'm not serving, I'm still a Marine. So you started, or you doing
we already started.
Oh, I didn't know you started. Well, I was asking a question. Yes.
Hey.
You are never an ex-Marine. You're always a Marine.
So it's a Grumpy Baker here. I'm in Georgia, being hosted by Kristin, and we have a nice visitor today. It's Tim.
Yep.
Right, 25-year veteran of the Marine Corps, and Kristin's over here.
My neighbor.
So I have this cool thing. I have this rotate. What is this? If Lazy Susan, right?
Yes.
So I have the camera on the Lazy Susan.
She works hard though.
You might do a little bit of a spin around the room. That's how high tech we're getting here with the Silence Majority documentary. But it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too, buddy. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and coming over. I'm glad it all worked out.
Well, when Kristin called me, she was trying to tell me the dates, and I kept saying, okay, when's he going to be, and when am I done with this stuff? And it worked out. So, I didn't know what I'd feel like today, but it was a good one. I said, why not?
Hey,
So,
send a couple prayers your way.
God's always good, and I always take prayers. So prayers work.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things that have just kind of worked out on this trip. I got a flat tire in Idaho, and it worked out. But first off, how I usually open these up is I say, hey, so how has the past 2 years impacted you? However, you've got a different perspective, your unique perspective. You fought for 25 years for this country. So I just want to open the conversation up and say, what do you think about all this stuff that's going on and where the country is headed?
Well, the way I look at it is, and I don't care if you're liberal or conservative, whatever. We have a constitution, okay? And I remember when I got sworn in, I was sworn in to defend and to protect that constitution. And I see all rights that Constitution provides us being eroded by the left. I mean, not just a little bit. Now they're just full blame. They're not even hiding it anymore like they used to. Even in the Marine Corps, we used to see it. And you can't speak against your supervisors and stuff like that, which is a good reason. There's a good reason for it, because you lose your leadership abilities a lot of time when you do that, and you bring down the leadership.
It's a morale demotivator, or what
it does. It will do that, but usually, hopefully, when you're in the officer ranks, you don't let it get to the enlisted ranks. You try to keep it within the officers, but even though, the morale of the officers get low. I remember when I first came in, when Carter was in. Actually, it was Nixon, but when Carter took over. This is always so boring. The dog snoring.
The dog snoring over on the chair.
Sorry.
I thought you were doing something.
No.
I thought he put him asleep.
That's my stomach growling. He's biting his leg, and
it's the peanut gallery. It's the heckling section.
But when I came in, I remember we took a trip over. We took a NATO cruise over to Norway for an exercise, and we got a chance to stop in Hamburg, Germany. And the German troops that we met invited us to go play soccer. Well, first of all, I can tell you, Marines and Navy guys coming off a Navy ship, playing German in soccer, stupid move. They just wiped our butts.
You out.
They wiped us out. But I will never forget, and I'm serious, I can tell you, every person that we played, all the German soldiers that we played against, every one of them came up to us and said, please do not vote for Carter again. They were so afraid. He was so weak on his foreign policy, especially against Russia. They were afraid Russia was going to come through.
And this was when?
This would have been 1979, 80. They were so afraid, and they said, you need to get Reagan in. And you need to, that came from them. None of us pushed anything, and we were surprised. But they said, please, you need to vote for Reagan. That's how scared they were.
Because, I even feel like, because if the U.S. is weak, if we have a weak leader and we're weak, all our allies that are, I don't want to say being being protected by our sail, so to speak, or our umbrella, they start to get bullied around too, across the world.
They will take advantage of any weakness they see. All I ever say is when I'll give you a good example. I did a counter drug operation when I was in court down in Columbia, right? And it was against like the FARC. I can't remember what the FARC stands for now, but it was the regime down there that worked with the cartels and stuff. They will attack light targets, or what they call weak targets. If you show resistance, they back off. And so when we came down there, the first thing they said, well, we'll protect you. No, nobody protects Marines except Marines. And the Colombians said, well, we'll provide the force. No, we'll protect ourselves. And we worked it out, and we never got touched. But the military police down there were scared to death. The military was scared. The regular police down there, they would go in at night and stay in their homes. So if you show a strong target, if you show strength, they respect it. Same thing in the Middle East I saw. Same thing that you see now with China and with Russia. They see what's in the office right now. I'm not into big politics and stuff, but you can see it very clearly. When Trump was in, everybody called. Oh, I guess best when they said. I remember when Bush was in, and they called him cowboy, but yet he showed strength. And what happened? We respected. Clinton came in, bombed the Spin factory. People don't think much about it, but did he show strength? Not really. Okay, and we saw it when we were in the military. But now you had a guy like Trump come in, and they said, well, we don't know this guy. We're not sure what's going on. I don't remember any attacks happening. Matter of fact, I saw North Korea stop firing missiles because they thought maybe this guy's a real cowboy, as they call him. China backed down. Russia backed down. Then you got, this guy in now. Now look what's happening.
That's what kind of leads me to believe, like, just to bring it back to now. One of the things that I'm seeing is they're trying so desperately to divide us, to put us into these little boxes and bigger boxes, whether it's red and blue, whether it's black and white, whether it's rich and poor, whether it's
vaxxed or unvaxxed.
Now it's vaxxed or unvaxxed. But because when we're divided as a nation, we're weak.
Yeah, big time.
So what I'm saying is this whole thing and what they're doing is from outside forces. Like it's from outside of our country, our government, trying to weaken us.
Look what Khrushchev said when he addressed, I want to say it was the United Nations. I can't remember who it was, but I remember reading about it. And, my mind's, I'm getting up there, so my mind's a little bit, but I'll never forget this. Khrushchev said that Russia would never be able to defeat us militarily. He said, the way we're going to defeat you is from the inside. You'll defeat yourselves. And that's, if you look at it right now, what's happening? We're defeating ourselves from inside.
Well, and that's been the target and the agenda for a couple of generations. And it's documented. And defectors from that time said, this is how it's going to be.
Yep.
And we're going to show you how we do it. And we're there. We're
That's
at that targeting from inside the educational system.
Well, that's what they attack first. They go after you. Religious organizations first. Because they know if you have hope and you have morality and stuff, they can never defeat that. So they have to go through that and tear that down. That's why everything you see now is they took Christ out of everything. Remember how we used to pray?
I was just saying this morning, I said one of the main focuses too of this documentary is that they've taken God out of everything and replaced God with government. And I was just saying that today.
I'll give you a good example. When I had my business, I did AC work. I was working up in Gainesville, and a principal of a certain high school up near Gainesville, it wasn't Gainesville High, but there's no one. She had a problem with the AC, and I went out to work, and I was working on it, and she came up to me and she said, Tim, can you believe what's going on? And I said, what are you talking about? She goes, did you hear about this guy just beat the living, and this is her words, beat the living crap out of this guy and showed no remorse, almost killed him? And I stood up and I said, I'm surprised you even questioned that. She said, what do you think? I said, of all people that should know what the problem is, you should know. You're the principal. You should know what's going on in your school. And I said, where's morality? What's teaching these kids any morality? Why are they held to any standard if you've taken it out of the school? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, when I grew up, we used to pray before every match. We even actually got on our knees and prayed to God to protect us and protect and then our opponents, that we were going to either wrestle with a clean fight and stuff, but we didn't want them to get hurt.
Well, look at that that high school football coach. I think it was high school. That just got fired a couple of years back for praying on the field.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, look what they did to Tebow. Every time he kneeled, people would make fun of him and stuff. But what I told her, I said, so you guys took God out of the high schools. You guys took God out of everything. So where's the morality for these kids? What do they have? They have no morality. They have nothing to go by. No basis. No base to stand on to tell you what's right and wrong. And you leave it up to the government to tell them what's right and wrong. So
I saw a figure that said 28% of American households are actually mom and dad. Like there used to be. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Perfect point there. My father, years back, said the problem with this nation and society today is the breakdown of the American family.
Oh, yes.
And it's like this. You look at all cultures around the world. The family is a central unit. You have multi-generations in one home or in one area, and you have accountability, and you have the passing down of traditions and respect and all of these things that of values. And now we have encouraged people to go away to a different school, go away for a job. You've decentralized the family, and you've lost that accountability. And no bullying. Well, it's kind of like dogs. Dogs work it out.
That's right. Who's
alpha, who's not. They go out, they scruff it up a little bit, and then they're in a pack, and they know who's in charge and who's got this job and who's they work it out and they get along. And there's just there's too much, oh, I'm offended. You have to think the same way I do. No, I grew up. Let's hash it out. Let's talk. What do you believe? Oh, really? Well, this is what I believe. And let's talk about it. And we can agree to disagree. Lunch is ready. Let's eat.
Yep.
That's how I grew up. You debate. You talk to people who think differently than you, or you're going to be in the same echo chamber and nothing's ever going to change. Kevin's out here putting feet and wheels to the pavement because he's got everything to lose in his business and his personal life and everything else right now. And what can I do? Well, here's what I can do. I got a friend who hopefully we'll talk later. I don't like the way things are going in our schools. I'm not getting anything. I'm going to run for school board. That's what we have to do. We have to work on a local level. What can I do right here, right now, to change this thing?
The friend that you're saying ran for school board.
Yeah. What can I do to change this one thing? What impact can I have? Because we can't keep looking to this ethereal, oh, we got to change the nation. No, you got to start right here in your house. Teach your children right. Hold them accountable. It's about accountability and agree to disagree.
Another way to do that too is not only the family, but you can't rewrite history to fit the narrative that you want at the time. That's another big problem. And I'm going to give you an example, even in our neighborhood. One of our neighbors was a great guy. I love him to death. He came over one night and he was wearing an Obama t-shirt. And I looked at him and I said, oh, Obama? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I said, that's who you vote for? And he goes, yep. And I said, why? And he goes, well, all that he's done. I said, well, give me one thing he's done. No, I'm being very serious. I mean, I have no problem with that. I mean, I'm glad that as a country we are doing that. We were able to look at a black man and saying, hey, if you want to run for president, you do it. Damn, you got every right to do it, and I hope the best for you. And if but as long as you do what the country and the Constitution says, don't try to fundamentally change our country.
Which was his platform.
Well, he said that. Yeah, he said that.
He said those words.
And
that's where you lost me.
So he kept saying, and every time he said something, I said, well, he didn't do anything. He didn't vote on that because if you look at his record, he voted present. He didn't want to vote because he knew he was doing this. And then I told him, I said, what do you really know? And I'm not being, I wasn't being this because...
devil's advocate.
Well, no, I wasn't even being devil. The way I grew up, I'll never forget a lesson I learned from my dad. My dad was in the Navy, and I'll never forget this. My sister was in a car accident where she went through the windshield of a VW Beetle, and she was 6 months pregnant at the time. And the guy that hit her was a drunk. Hit her and her friend was drunk. Well, we got called to the hospital, and the doctor came out, or the administrator came out and told my dad, because it was my mom and my dad. We went to the hospital and told my dad, we have, your daughter's young, and we're going to do the best we can, but we have a problem. And my dad looked at him and said, "What?" Now, my dad was a Navy career guy, retired as a chief, World War II vet and all that stuff, Korean vet. I learned things about him that I didn't even know when I went to go look at his background that he just never talked about. But the administrator said, "Well, we have two doctors. One is basically a Hispanic descent, and then you got the white doctor." My dad first thing, he goes, "Who's the best?" And he goes, "In my opinion," he goes, "if it's your kid, who would you have operate?" He goes, this doctor.
Thank you.
And he goes, "That's who I want." Now that is a powerful message for my dad. I mean, he didn't care what skin color was, what anybody was. It was who is the best.
Merit.
Merit, thank you.
Accountability.
Okay.
What's the best? It doesn't matter what you look like, where you came from, what is your ability.
Well, what came out of that is when they got out of the operation, the doctor came into my mom and dad and me, because like I said, I was the only kid at the home at the time, and he said, "I've done everything I can." He goes, "Now it's up to," he goes, "your daughter is young, which is helping, and if God wants her to live." And my dad asked, "What about the baby?" And he goes, "It's up to God, but I don't think there's any hope." Well, Teresa was born 3 months later, healthy as can be, stunned the doctors. They cannot figure it out. Sandra's, she's still my big sister, and she's, of all the boys, she's the meanest, and she also won the prom king and homecoming queen. So I don't see how you get the prettiest girl that's the meanest of them all. But she's, she's my big sister, and she'll protect her brothers like you wouldn't believe it. If one thing, it was up to God if he wanted her to live. But I'll never forget that. My dad didn't even hesitate. He didn't care what color you were, where you came from.
Best.
Who's the best to do the job? So.
And that's all that matters.
Well, that's where I look at. So when I was talking to our neighbor, and we were talking about Obama running, I said, "Well, how much do you know about your history?" And he goes, "Well, quite a bit." I said, "Well, do you know that there was a black man in George Washington's boat when he crossed the Delaware?" He goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, he was near the front. Did you know that?" He goes, "No." I said, "Do you know one of the first guys who was shot when the Revolutionary War started? Was a black man, and when he was questioned, I looked this all up, and there's some naysayers and there's a lot of prosayers on this, but he sat there and he was next to a guy, and he said, 'I may not be from this country, and I may be a slave, but I live in this. This is my country now, and I'll fight for it.'" Now, that was a slave. I said, "Do you know who the first slave owner in the United States was?" And our neighbor was sitting, he goes, I said, "Well, you better look it up, because on record," and again, there's pros for it and there's negative, but the majority of the people say this is who it is. It was a black man. It was the very first slave owner in the United States.
Well, who's selling the slaves into the slave trade? Their own people,
Yeah.
And it still happens today.
It's I gotta tell you,
This country abolished it. It was one of the first to abolish it.
Did you know that the Irish were slaves in the American?
Yes, the indentured servitude.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, you learn all this history and stuff, and this is what I'm trying to say. They rewrite history. I just read a great article by he's going to kill me, Jason. About what? Oh, I wish I could remember. Sue sent it to me, but he was talking about what different cultures think of right now, and he says, it depends on your own merits. You build your own merits. Okay, I came from a Navy chief with 7 kids, and I remember my dad told me one thing. He goes, "I'm going to put food in your stomach, clothes on your back, and a roof over your head. Anything else is up to you." I had to fight for everything I had. Paid my way through college, didn't take any loans out. Well, Sue and I did. We worked and stuff, and worked what we got. Never asked anybody for anything. So when people come up to you and talk about history, and they talk about what you can do, it's your own merits. It's what you do and what you want to get out there of it. So
that's one of the problems now too. Is
Everything if they want, if they give
with
it to
its merit based, right? If if you don't make it to par, well, what do I have that could get me an advantage? You know, it's not about disadvantages anymore. Like, oh, you're disenfranchised or anything like that. It's about advantages. Look at all these grants. Well, me, I'm a white male. Well, if I was a woman business owner, I'd be entitled to this. Or if I was, Latino, I'd have this advantage, because so a lot of it isn't merit based at all. Do you know what I mean?
It's
If-
intersectionality, how many victim groups
Right.
can you check the box for?
takes a
The
while.
more victim groups you can check the box for, the more
And with anything,
oppressed or whatever you
I forget what
are.
I was going to say now.
Sorry.
With anything, like if you're an A student and you like really excel and you really work hard, you're going to get scholarships just because you're smart. Whether you're white, black, or whatever.
You're a good investment.
Right, because they want you in their school.
You have
Even
a-
I'm
you
not
have a
talking
proven track
sports.
record.
Well, but there's a thing like this. My nephew, very up there in the Brainiac Awards, if you want to say, went to get scholarships and stuff, applied for it, and he was told, I'm not just saying this to be, what he was told was point blank, you're not the right color, and you're not, and you plus your family is white. He didn't get any scholarships.
That brings up a very good point about these programs, like
That's right. That's what I'm saying. It's a
affirmative
program.
action.
It's not the kid. Let me rephrase something real fast. I never. If someone sits there and takes advantage of these things, that's not their fault. If, in other words, if
Right,
you look
yeah,
at,
if-
but the government that's giving it to them, it's the government's fault. I mean, I'd be stupid if you looked at me and you said, Kevin, you come to me and you say, hey, I got $1,000 for you, and here you take it. You don't have to earn it. Okay? Would I be stupid not to take that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Or
What are the strings?
What if you said, "Hey, I got a job for you, and I'll give you $1,000 if you do this." Now you've made me say, "Now wait, you're giving me something, and I'm giving you something. Instead of you just giving me something, I don't have to pay for it. Now I got to reciprocate. I have to do something to earn that money." Okay, it builds something. Okay, what the government does now with all these programs, hands it out. You're not teaching them anything. You're not giving them anything. You're making them dependent on you. Because what am I going to do when I come back next time? Hey, buddy, I need another $1,000. I didn't learn anything from what you gave me. So
It's like Elizabeth Warren, though. She's like, this. I heard from my great grandmother was Native American, so she claimed Native American to get into Harvard Law School or
Pocahontas.
teaching.
yeah.
So that's how she got the Pocahontas thing. And
So
whatnot.
how many students did? She took one spot of someone that was probably more deserving, but
Right.
it's okay because
It was
she's
Elizabeth Warren.
You were trying to remember that name.
So that was a good intro
yeah.
conversation.
We didn't even get to that part. Yeah, but
to where the country is at now. And I think the reason why that was a good intro is because this was all things and points in time that brought us to, to not offending with mentioning God in schools, to not, giving people advantages because we feel bad. And so where we're at as a country now, the past 2 years, they've just been full speed ahead on a freight train trying to
like I said, they're
destroy
not
this
hiding it
country.
anymore.
No.
They're not disguising anything. They're not hiding it. They're just going full bore with it.
So have you personally been affected by COVID,
Yeah.
any of the mandates or
Yeah.
anything that's been going on?
Well, I sold a business a while ago and stuff, but I can see what's happened like with my son. He's over in Germany with his wife. She became a doctor, so she's studying over there. I got 2 great grandbabies, and I went over there when the second was born, and we've been trying to get back to Germany to see him. Well, everything's closed down. The new thing comes up. It doesn't matter. If you do not have a COVID shot, I cannot get on a flight to go over there. Even though Germany is open up saying if you got the natural immunities, you can come if you can prove it, and I'll go into this in just a second. We can come over there. The problem is I can't get back in the United States because I don't have a shot. And
Really?
yes, it doesn't matter. And you have to have the shot. I've already talked to the airlines and everything else. First thing they ask me is, do you have a shot? Do you have a proof that you took the shots? I have natural immunities. I have the same with the chemo I'm taking. I can't take it. I'm sorry. We would not let you back in. That's exactly what they told me. So I said, okay.
In this, wow,
In
you
this
can
country.
come back into this
Now,
country
now I've had
where
people
you
call
are
me
a
and say,
citizen.
I've had people call me and say, that's not true. I said, okay, well, I just called the CDC and asked them, what are the guidelines for this? Guess what?
Up to the airlines.
It's up to the airlines.
It's up to the airlines.
They pass the buck.
Yeah, they passed the buck. Okay.
This country is full of cover your ass and pass
Yeah.
the buck.
Now, has it affected me a little bit? Okay, yes. I could not, I couldn't tell. Well, I had one surgeon say, yeah, you can take the shot, but I had two that, a long story, I got cancer 5 years ago when I was told to go home and die by the VA doctors. I decided, maybe we need a second opinion. Got out to MD Anderson, and I'll never forget, if I can say her name, Dr. Chun. We're sitting about wee wall distance, and I said, well, the doctor there, represent VA, just basically there's no hope and get my affairs in order to go home and die. And she got that close to my face and said, this isn't VA and this isn't the hospital, but this is MD Anderson. I got that. And I was on the operating table for 12 hours, and I'm still here. I'm still kicking. Just recently I went back for a checkup and 2 little spots showed up, so they're taking care of that, and that's what we're looking at. But dealing with the chemo, two of the surgeons said, we don't really know what this is yet. Like you said, they call it a vaccine. That's what they call it. That's how people understand it. But they don't know the full ramifications of it. And I'm not seeing my civil liberties diminish. And it's my body. If I think that they don't know what it is, I'm not putting it in here because I don't know how it's going to affect me. And I'm asking the questions.
Your risk is too great.
Yeah. Well, yes. My kids' risk are too great. Everybody, we don't know, and they're saying we know enough about this. Well, all I had to see was when there was a Democrat congresswoman that said she took hydroxychloroquine and she couldn't remember the other thing, and it saved her life. Okay, because Trump came out and said you need to do this. Look at therapeutics; they work. Who was the first one that was against that? Fauci and those guys. Why? Because
Money.
It all comes down to this. Now, I got an article, but I've sent to people that a guy told me about the therapeutics and stuff. When Trump said that, that's the first time in history that a medicine that was labeled, and hydroxychloroquine is for parasite stuff like that. When it was labeled for that, but doctors found it had another use, and they were using it in the country. And this is over 300 some doctors. And I've had close friends tell me, "Oh, you're talking about the CDC and the scientists that we read says this."
I'll weigh in on that in a minute.
Yeah, and I said, "Well, that's fine, but I'm also listening to these doctors that have patients, and they haven't lost one patient. But yet these other doctors are using the vaccines. They've lost some patients.
It's
Yeah.
because
Hydroxychloroquine doesn't work.
is already developed, and they're not going to make any money off it.
Yeah.
So we
And
need
so
to get everybody
pharmaceuticals in
vaccinated.
this, so they have convinced a medical facility or medical establishment that if we don't back it, you shouldn't be using it. Now, a lot of the doctors, and they have to go with what
The CDC.
they have to go with what the hospitals tell them. If we don't accept it, and you work for a hospital and you give it to someone, that person dies and they sue us. Okay, we're
That's
liable.
what the nurse said in Idaho.
Okay.
She said that basically they're following certain procedures and protocols because they come recommended. And if they don't even seek those outside, well, maybe we can give them vitamin C and boost this. Also, they're and this is going to be in the documentary. You'll hear it from her. I think she said it on the record. They're dehydrating the patients. They're saying keep them dry. And what does that do? It makes the blood thicker. And what is this, like a lot of commonalities with this the COVID and the vaccination is a blood clotting issue. But you wanted to say something on.
I got to finish this thing. Okay, so with all that stuff, been doing this. When this last trip out to MD Anderson, they checked. They said, "Yeah, okay, we're going to do the chemo," and I said, "Great." I tested negative. That was on a Wednesday. My wife went out there with me on a Thursday. Coming back, she started feeling really tired, and to the point she says, "Man, I can't keep my eyes open." I said, "Babe, sleep." When we got back here, I was still feeling okay, but tired from the trip. And my son came in and said, "Hey, I got COVID, probably from where he worked." So I took my wife to go get tested, and the guy goes, "We need to test you too." And we didn't do the quick 30-second one. Too many false positives on it. I said, "I want to know for sure." So we took the long test. We both came back positive for COVID. And I went, "Great." I called a doctor that I know. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want this guy to get in any type of trouble like that. But he gave me hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. 2 days within taking that. Now you understand, I felt so weak and tired. I couldn't even hardly get out of the rack and stuff. My wife was the same way, and my son. We took that within 2 days. I'm out mowing the lawn. Okay, so yeah, therapeutics don't work. Hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. Ivermectin doesn't work, right? But it worked for me. And so when I told my friends, who's one of these, "Oh, you got to look at the science. You got to believe what the science is saying." Well, I did, and it told me this stuff worked.
Well, they're citing a 600,000 COVID deaths, and oh my gosh, you got to go get vaccinated. You should feel so guilty because grandma's dying.
With COVID or from COVID?
Right, from COVID. But then here it is, literally, like, by just keeping them on the protocols that are sanctioned by the CDC, they're killing people for money.
Okay.
Because they want to get that vaccination. But go ahead. You've been waiting for a minute.
It's all right. You mentioned what's working, what's not working, doctors who are being silenced because they're treating patients with 100% effectiveness on these protocols using hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, which are words that are going to get this silenced and banned. If you post those words, this is going to get taken down. This
video will get taken down.
Yeah. So here's what I know from people who have treated as well, and again, living proof. So when they came out and said, "Oh, the Lancet Journal published the article proving that hydroxychloroquine is unsafe," and known. Okay, so I went to the Lancet Journal and pulled it up and started reading the article and started questioning. I said, "Hang on a second, wait a second," and I was reading into it, and then come to find out, 2 weeks later, the Lancet had to retract that study because so much of the medical community was in an outrage over the study. And here's why. Okay, so come back to the why in a second. I had COVID. Asked the doctor, why are you offering me this experimental thing that you can't tell me anything about when you get 62 cents every couple of hours and I'll be good to go? Well, that's been proven unsafe. I said, "Did you read the article?" No. And I asked about some other institutions who were on board. "Oh, they're doing it?" "Yeah." "Did you read the article for yourself?" Did you read the study?" "No." I said, "Well, then read the study and find out why I'm so angry right now and why you should be outraged as a physician." I said, these doctors who performed the study to prove that it was unsafe should have their medical licenses stripped, and they should be behind bars for criminal negligence, intentional homicide, because
there's over 300 doctors in the United States who were treating patients with hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and other stuff.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of different protocols, but they all essentially do
guess what?
combine the same things.
And we're talking about hundreds and thousands of patients. Not one patient was lost.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Under these protocols, these treatments that work, they are being shown 100% effective, and they are being silenced. So, two things. The known adverse reaction, or a known adverse event of high doses of hydroxychloroquine is an adverse cardiac event. This study gave 4 times the therapeutic dose to heart patients, people with compromised cardiovascular systems. They gave 4 times the dose, knowing that it could kill them, to prove the point. That is criminal.
So they just kept giving them, what is it,
hydroxychloroquine. This is criminal.
They kept giving it to them until the patients died, so they could basically write that in the study.
Or had an adverse event. And that's why the Lancet had to retract that study 2 weeks later, but you haven't heard that study has been thrown out. They're just citing the study, but the study has been thrown out. So the second point of that,
Second point, hold on.
I have friends who are from another country where they routinely take hydroxychloroquine for malaria, anti-malaria
I had
drug.
to take that when I went down to
When you went to Central, yes, exactly. So also, are you seeing numbers of COVID deaths in these countries around the equatorial belt? No, they don't want you to know that they're not getting it because they routinely take hydroxychloroquine. They literally have a therapeutic level in their blood that the virus isn't attacking them. It can't. So, but my friends, she had ivermectin for, and I'm not even going to say, she was in one spot. They have two homes, and they both came down with it at the same time. And because he's from another country and travels there occasionally, had it and did the other things on these protocols. His was a 5-day course and hers was a 2-day course. She used the ivermectin protocol. He used the hydroxychloroquine protocol, and she was better in 2 days, and he was better in 5 days.
See, actually, I took both hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin.
Yeah.
And you don't take a whole bunch of the stuff and stuff
No,
like
there
that.
are
But
specific protocols.
vitamin
It is an
D,
established
vitamin
therapeutic
C,
regimen.
Vitamin B12. They tell you zinc. So you take this stuff, and I'm here to live. I mean, I went from I couldn't hardly get off out of the bed. We called it the rack last time. Out of the bed to where 2 days later I was out mowing the lawn.
Dennis mowed the lawn the day he got home from the hospital. He and I both had pneumonia so bad, it hurt worse than childbirth without drugs.
Now,
I had to literally, intentionally force myself to take every breath deep past the pain.
So here's a question.
And I will do it again.
well, I was going to answer one of your questions for me, folks.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm happy to ask
yeah.
the question.
You sat there and you said, "Is it affect me?" Lily, like my friends, I had a friend who looked at me and said, "Well, this stuff doesn't work. The scientists say it doesn't work." And I told him, I said, "You're looking at two people you know of right now that it worked on. So how can you say it doesn't work?" He goes, "Well, you're just only two people. This is what we're fighting." They've been so brainwashed.
Because they're throwing it down everybody's
Throat.
throats.
Okay, now I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say
No. So the question that I have is, let's see if I can formulate this right, because it's what I'm gathering. They're not doing these not procedural, but what do you?
Experimental.
You said there's two treatments. There's one, the hydrochloroquine, and
that. Ivermectin.
so what would you call
Protocols.
those? Protocols.
Treatment
Thank you.
protocols.
There's two treatment protocols that these doctors and these hospitals aren't doing because they're citing an article that's totally biased and probably hired, right? Because they're afraid of getting sued.
Yeah.
If they venture outside of the lay them down and let them drown and put a hose down their throat, if they venture off that, they're worried that if the patient dies, they're going to get sued, right? And then you have the FDA putting a 75-year block on the information with the trials and stuff like that on the vaccination.
That came down from 150.
150 years or 75
Yeah, I
years,
just read
right?
that. Yeah.
And
Who shot JFK?
and we were talking about this morning outside on the deck, the vaccination, right? If you take it's totally release of liability on these
Vaccine
companies.
Injury Act of 1982.
No, but these two companies or whatever, Pfizer and the other one, they're released from liability that if a patient dies or whatnot. Why aren't we fighting to see to allow these hospitals to use these treatments and just have patients sign a waiver?
A waiver, yes.
Look
It's about liability.
Yes.
Again,
Yeah.
waiver
It's
of
my
liability.
responsibility. Yeah.
I wish I could get you both on camera.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, sit there.
I was gonna say, like when I came down with cancer, I had one guy that had. He told me, he goes, "Tim, you gotta stay positive." I said, "That's no problem." He said, "But remember, they call it the practice of medicine, not the definitely. I know what I'm doing part of medicine." And he goes, "You have to fight for everything." And the last time I went there, one guy said, "Well, I think we ought to do radiation," and I said, "No." I did real good on the chemo. I'm going back to the chemo. And they said, "Yeah, but radiation." I said, "Yeah, I saw what it did to my brother. I saw what it did to my friends. It destroys other organs as it's getting to the point you want to get to. And I'm not getting there yet. I'm still happy. I'm still on the right side of the grass. My doctor down there just did the blood work like that. And basically, he really looked at me. And he looked at me, he goes, "Wow." And I said, "What?" He goes, "You're doing amazing." He goes, all this stuff, your blood work is great. And I said, well, great, let's keep going with this. So, but it's,
But he was shocked too.
yeah, but you have to take control. And this is where it comes back to all rights. Okay? That's your body. That's your body. I don't mind if I make laws and stuff to protect, but when you start talking about putting needles in me to put stuff in, I want to know, first of all, what it is. I want to know what studies have been done. I watched
What's the long-term?
long-term,
2
short-term
years,
effects.
and it's
It
not
wasn't
going
even
to.
2 years.
Well, here's the thing. I think that these were developed a long time ago, and I'm going down that rabbit hole and starting to pull together the documentation showing that this has been developed for a while, which is why they could get it out so quickly, because they already had.
Oh, you mean like the when Dr. Fauci keeps saying, no, we didn't fund anything like that over in Wuhan for this, and now we're getting documentation showing that, hey, he's a liar.
I've been saying it for over a
Yeah.
year. I found that
Follow
one last
the money.
year.
The same thing with him when he did HIV treatments. Follow what he did. Follow what that idiot did, and I'll call him an idiot to his face. I think he's one of
I
the
think
biggest
that's
liars
very
we have.
kind for what some people
Yeah, I
want.
think he's one of the biggest liars that.
Fraudchi?
Yes.
Frauchi.
Fraudchi.
So,
Well, let me think a minute. I'll think of his name, but the man who invented the PCR testing, polymerase chain reaction testing.
oh yeah.
I will think of his name in a minute, but he is on record before any of this from the last pandemic and whatnot, saying that Fauci doesn't know his yoo-hoo from a teacup. And he mysteriously died in the peak of health as well. There's another story. But he said the PCR is not a diagnostic tool. That's the thing that they're using to diagnose COVID-19. But everybody's misinterpreting that. And he literally says you can't amplify it past a certain number of cycles and everything. It's as though you blow up this house and that house and that house. And then I hand you a picture of the front of my house and say, go into that rubble and reconstruct my house from this picture of the front and make sure that that picture is hanging on the wall in the right spot. And this, you don't know what it looks like. You just have a bunch of pieces of stuff. Oh, well, you've got some of this and some of that. And I think that's what this looks like. And that's what happens in this. It's kind of a oversimplified, but the man who invented the polymerase chain reaction testing said it is not a diagnostic tool. It is to give you an insight on what has happened in the past. You've got pieces of this and pieces of that, and some of it may be live, but if you do it too many times, you're going to find stuff that you had before. Way back, you're going to find pieces of debris from things if you take it too far. And that's what we've been doing. And I've been advocating for people who were in the hospital and kept beyond somebody who quarantined for 2 weeks. And then the family said, oh, she's still positive. She needs to stay another 2 weeks. And oh, she's still positive. So we're talking 6 weeks quarantine. But they were letting now they were letting family come in to visit and a few other things. Well, if she's still COVID positive, how are you allowing visitors? Something's not right. And I said, use these words. How many amplifications was her test? And what nosocomial infection are you detecting? And nosocomial infection is something that you catch in the hospital from the hospital. You didn't come in with it. You got it while you were in a protected health environment. So I said, write this down. I messaged her children. Use these words. Demand how many amplifications her PCR test was showing. She's still positive. And what nosocomial infection is it showing? When they said they were holding her for another 2 weeks, so that would have been 8 weeks. They were demanding another. So I said, what? They said, they're keeping her again. Guess who was discharged that day? That day, when they demanded the accountability and the answers, they discharged her that day. She was under Medicare. How much money were they making for having a, quote, COVID positive patient who it is physically impossible after that quarantine? And you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
When they demanded the accountability, and we alluded to this earlier, when you show strength,
Well,
they back off.
I'll give you.
You and I talked about spiritual warfare. Satan attacks the weakest. This country is under spiritual warfare. And when we show signs of strength and we call Satan out by name for what he is, you're not welcome here. Get out. I've done it. You've done it.
Yeah, the prime example of this is showing determination, the strength of stuff, is Janice Dean. She was the weather lady for Fox News when Como, put all these patients back into the nursing homes, knowing they had the COVID, and they were not ready to deal with it, and all these people died, and he covered it up and stuff. And she said,
Arnold Palmer, not wine.
well, Dawn.
Drug lives matter.
Yeah, and I watched her fight day in, day out for her in-laws, and everybody kept praising. Yeah, we kept praising Como, how great he was. He was good. Lilly, at one point, he's definitely going to be the next president. He's got he won a Pulitzer Prize for like that. Now where is he? Now that the truth has come out.
He's almost in jail.
Oh yeah, yeah. With
A
his
lot of
little
them
brother
should
too.
be. I don't like politicians at all, and I'm going to say this. I don't.
Oh,
like
I hate
politicians.
no. It is immoral for someone to look at me in the face and say I'm a career politician.
I know.
I am so sorry with that. The founding fathers looked at you going to go serve, leave your daily job, go serve for maybe 4 years, and go back to your daily job. It is immoral to tell me you're a career politician, because once you get to that stage, all you care about is yourself,
That's
and
the
you don't care
swamp.
about the
Corruption, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
absolute power.
So, one of the last questions I have for you, and then we're gonna wrap it up because we're hitting the memory capacity of the phone.
Oh man, we've had fun.
Houston, we have a problem.
So, I've been talking to a lot of active duty military members that are fighting this fight. They've got 20, 25 years in. One of them actually disabled. She's disabled right now, and she's still active duty, and she's getting, because she got blown up in a Humvee or something, rolled on her leg. Long story short, if they don't get vaccinated, they're going to lose everything. Not just discharge, and here's your retirement. They'll lose their whole retirement, their pension. They give bonuses out. I'm not really sure, but like say they give them $10,000,
The sign up bonus,
whatever.
The
They have to pay that back.
What?
Yeah,
it's
like they are really. And I
Wow.
think
this.
somebody said it last night. I don't know if I was watching a video, but they were like, "Oh yeah, it's the video I posted last night." This private company is saying we're going to make life miserable for the unvaccinated.
Oh, that's what I was telling you. My buddies I've talked to that's been in the Marine Corps, that we retired, we served together for all these years. We're looking, we're going, what the hell is going on? What
Yeah,
happened?
you took the polio, you took the Hep C and
Coercion
stuff like that.
and
So
intimidation.
why you have a little bit of a I wouldn't say you're-
because of the studies and the way they actually did the research on these medicines. They didn't just give you the polio shot right after they made it. They actually did studies, and it took a long time before they was approved. Now, the vaccines that they're giving right now, and my wife just read this to me. Do you know how many athletes, I'm talking about prominent athletes, most of them soccer and stuff, that have died
The fittest
from
people on the planet.
cardiac arrest? Over 900 and something. Worldwide, 900 and something. Any vaccine
Drop dead
on the
in the
market,
prime of fitness.
any vaccine on the market that would have had that, with this short time, that vaccine would have been pulled off the market.
Right.
Yeah.
If this vaccine was a car, it'd be repossessed and there'd be
It'd be
$1 billion.
recalled. Yeah.
And plus, they're looking at what is the actual death rate of COVID-19 on the whole population? Less than 1%, and that's usually the older generation that
With all the comorbidities.
yes, and stuff like that. I mean, why are you giving it to healthy kids? And one thing I was going to say, the study out of Israel and out of Sweden about natural immunity, 23 to 27 times more effective than any vaccine shot you could take. How much are we seeing that these guys are talking about? Hey, if you got natural immunity, man, we need to help push it and look at the studies of that. Maybe
Dr. William Farr, the Oxford study on the immunity curve.
Yeah, you're
But
talking
Fauci and those
about
guys are
ESPN.
disregarding that. They're not counting any of that. You have to have this vaccine. Why? It comes down to this.
How much of it? Okay, so another question I have for you, because I want your insight. How much of it do you think is this, and how much of it do you think is just to gain compliance and gain control of the population?
I think there's more right now in the government stuff. This I think is probably going to be like 30%. I'm really thinking this is the left's big push to gain control and to change the way we have lived under. They should change the Constitution, doing what Obama wanted to do, fundamentally change this country, and this is their opportunity because they're using it to do it
Towards socialism or
Yes,
communism?
yes. And who was it that said, "Don't let a good crisis go to waste"?
Yeah.
Okay, he worked for Clinton. I'll give him all the credit because, yeah, you're right. You're not letting anything go to waste. But, I mean, we see this. And I'm telling you, the guys that I talked to that are retired and the group like we're really trying to figure out what the hell is going on, especially what's going on with our Marine Corps. You know, this woke stuff, that's not going to save you in battle.
Your father and your grandfather would have just
Oh, yeah.
slapped these
Yeah.
wimps. I'm refraining from explicative.
I'll tell you what,
There's many words I would like to say, but if our ancestors who fought for this country, who did real hard war, would just be disgusted with where we are today, and again, the breakdown of the decentralization of the family.
Our God, and then now what they're breaking down is history. They're rewriting history to fit their narrative. So it goes on, oh, we are such a bad country. You know, we've done everything so wrong. And I'm going, what? Wait, that's not how I grew up. All my friends, I'll be honest with you. And every time someone used to say, well, I have a black friend, okay, you know, I used to go like that, but it's getting to that point now. I had a friend, he's still one of my dearest friends, someone came up and said, oh, so you're a black American? No, you're an African American. And I swear he went, no, I'm an American who happens to be black, whose ancestors came from Africa. He goes, I've never set foot in Africa. And I got a buddy that I did this to, and he looked at me and he told me, he goes, well, you just don't understand. You know, my ancestors, I am an African American, he happened to be black. So I also have a buddy that's white who's from South Africa, who's also an American citizen now. So I brought him over to the house, and I brought my other buddy over to the house, and I said, you know, I'm amazing, I'm looking at you two, and I cannot believe you're both African Americans. And my black buddy goes, and then he goes, that's racist. I said, no. I said, when in Africa did you actually grow up or born and stuff? He goes, I've never been there. And I said, oh, Gary, where'd you get born? He told me. And he goes, what? He goes, yeah, because I was born in South America, but I'm South Africa. And he goes, but I'm an American citizen now. And I said, so he was actually born in Africa. I don't care what part of the continent. You were born on that continent in Africa, and you've never set foot there, but you're more of an African than he is? And he looked at me and he goes, I think I'm getting your point.
That's cultural appropriation.
Yeah, and I said, you know, I'd rather you just tell me you're an American, and that's how I look at you. I don't care what color you are.
I think you have something on your tongue.
Me?
No,
Probably did, but that's all right.
It's gone? Good, because I have one last question for you. And it has to do with the wokeness of the military. Why do you see the wokeness of the military as dangerous to our country?
Basically, because it's telling us that we need to be more concerned about how you treat people politely and stuff like that, instead of training our soldiers to fight, to win, and to live on a battlefield.
Because what's the purpose of military?
The only purpose of the military is when the politicians screw up everything so bad, we have to go in and protect our country. And the only way we do it is we have to basically kill and destroy everything that we see. That's what the military is made for. Anybody that says we go in there to be as peacekeepers or nation builders, that is not what the military is for. A military is only designed for one thing, to blow things up and basically destroy things. That's it. Okay, anything beyond that, that's not what the preview of really of a military is. But that's all they ever use it for. So that, you know, Reagan had the right thing, peace through strength. Did you ever see us really do anything when Reagan was in, when he started building it up? Or you know, when Trump was in? Boy, I don't remember seeing any more attacks. I don't remember seeing anything happen over in, oh, that's right, Afghanistan. Didn't we just lose 13 people over there and just do that? And they just, the Taliban's now in control because you got some guy who's been wrong on every foreign policy for his 40-something years in Congress. everything he's ever done. You look at his record; he's been on the wrong side of it. So,
We could go
and you got the generals
on
now.
and
Yeah,
on.
you got the generals now that saying Millie should resign. If he didn't know what was happening or like that, but yet he let it, and he still believed this, he should resign. They just this is what's
if
getting
he
us.
denies knowledge, he's incompetent and should be
Yeah.
removed.
Now, this is
No matter how you
complete-
slice it.
This is completely rumor. I said that was the last question, but I have another question. It's completely rumor, okay? Mm-hmm. But have you heard anything about them going after veteran benefits and VA
Yes.
benefits?
Yeah.
If you don't get vaccinated, they want to take
No,
those
I
away.
haven't heard about if you don't get vaccinated. I haven't heard that, but I have heard different things for basically to pay for all these social programs. They're looking at the vets that we promised you this when you retired, you would have this. Okay, that's already gone. I mean, a lot of that stuff is gone. When I came into the Marine Corps, I remember the recruiter telling me you're going to get free dental, free health care, and this. I said, great. Well, 10 years in, we lost the dental. So we don't have dental anymore. Unless you're 100% disability, then you get your teeth cleaned and stuff like that. But now you pay for a lot of your medicines. You pay for your insurance that you have in it, which is TRICARE. That rate keeps going up. So I didn't know it was free anymore. We still pay just like everybody else. Just like I used to love when people tell me, well, you get free housing. No, we didn't. We had a housing thing, and if you were on base, they took it away from you. So we didn't get anything for free. So
is there anything in conclusion that you want to add that you might not talked about? Or?
yes, Lily, you need to keep fighting. I appreciate what you're doing. Yeah, seriously, more than you know. Don't. I have a buddy that works at the CDC, and I'm not gonna get in, but he told me, and privately I'll give you his name and stuff, but he told me, he said, don't believe any of the numbers come out of CDC. And this is when it started going on. And one good example is, and there was a reporter that asked the question, he goes, of all the tests you've done, I don't see any reports on here on the false positives that you changed, that it was a positive COVID test that it was false, that you take it off as a positive. They said, no, we don't do that. Once it's classified as positive, they don't care if it's false positive down the road or not. They leave it on as a positive test. So, that blows all the
They don't
figures
do
right
that
up.
with anything else.
No. But they blow that blows that all the numbers off. And they're even saying, what's it?
You say, trust the science. They are the
Doctoring
things
the
that are
science.
coming out
Well,
is completely manipulated.
Yeah,
What is it?
trust
How
the
to Lie
science
Through
on how they
Numbers.
want it.
That statistics book, Bill Gates' favorite book.
Read the Stanford study on the mask and how it's affecting our children.
We're going to be
There's
talking
no
to somebody
pa-
about that tonight.
Oh, good.
The psychological effects.
Yes. I don't think there's
Tune
any,
in tonight
I don't
for the
think there's
psychological
Yeah,
effects.
I don't think there's any parent on the one that wants, if they ever read that article, it's more than psychological. It's physical damage they're doing to themselves. If they read what the Stanford said about that, they would never let their kid wear a mask. Never.
I have a pulse oximeter in my purse. When I went back to work, why aren't you wearing a mask? Well, checking my oxygenation and everything. And I said, well, I have my own thermometer because this thing you are using, it doesn't work. And I have my own pulse oximeter and I'm recovering myself. And I didn't transmit a virus to anybody around me and all these other things. But I just, you got to be accountable for yourself.
They showed on TV a woman athlete, not a guy that says he's a woman that wants to be an athlete, but a real woman athlete.
We could go on and on and on.
That's what we need to watch out for. Okay, this wokeness and all that stuff. No. And if you want to discuss,
Let's talk biology.
yeah, if you want to discuss that, yeah, we can go down that road. But this girl was in a state race. She was very good. She was winning the race. She wore the race, and I think it was like, I want to say it was an 880.
She was track. Oh, that's
track.
right. I saw that.
When she was wearing a mask, almost dropped dead, just almost right to the finish. She never made it to the finish because she had a mask. She was breathing her own carbon monoxide back in, and it made her pass out. If that's not a good
Oxygen deprivation.
yeah, if that is not a good example of what it's doing to our kids, and here you got a prime athlete that was so scared because of the media And plus, it was being forced on her that you could not run a race without a mask. That is just cruel. That is just pure cruel to the kids.
None of this has ever been about the health. That's probably the point I was going to make. Are you out of space? But
Yeah, it's just over an hour.
yeah.
I want to make sure I get a conclusion.
Okay. But it's not about
Conclusion.
the health. Yeah, the conclusion. All of the things that keep you healthy and mentally, physically, and spiritually, bodily, all the things that boost your immunity and keep you healthy and strong are the very things that have been attacked with the lockdowns. Gyms, churches, being outside, healthy, clean food, yet they're leaving fast food, the worst food, and the liquor stores.
Going back to the doctor to get checkups.
You can't actually get the health care that you need.
There you go.
Or the spiritual and physical food that you need to keep yourself healthy and strong. It's never been about our health. Never. Because if it has been, they would have mandated all of the healthy things. We would be completely reforming the FDA and all of the things that are allowed in our foods that are banned in other countries.
I can sum up everything. Talk about the health in one statement. Yeah. The southern border. When they bring
we could go on and on and on.
I'm just being serious. When they talk about COVID-19 and how important this is that we have to do all these tests and stuff that you have to do, I have to do before we can even go into a store and stuff. But yet he's letting all these people come non-tested, come across the southern border, then putting them on flights
and planes
at night and flying them into these countries to push them like that, and then saying you have to take care of it. Wait a minute. Aren't we trying to stop this from coming into our country?
You can't even fly back into your own country.
Yeah.
You can't even fly into your own country.
Oh my gosh. I just made a realization. So a 25-year veteran of the Marine Corps can't go visit his grandchildren in Germany and come back into the country without getting vaccinated. But if you're an illegal immigrant, you can cross the border and they'll fly you wherever you want.
There you go.
And give you $450,000.
Well, you just told me how I can come back in. I just got to go through the southern border.
I know how I'm paying off my mortgage.
Yeah. I just got to go through the southern border. I didn't think. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin,
grow your goatee a little longer.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Wow.
All right, so there you have it. This is the Grumpy Baker, and I am probably going to post this a little differently than I have in the past. So I hope to have more of these up on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube.
Okay.
And then, because you know what, I only have 500 or 600 followers on YouTube.
You gotta make sure I got this.
If they shut me down, they can shut me down. We've talked about some good things. I appreciate you, Tim.
Hey,
And
Kevin, what you're doing is
Kristin.
unbelievable. So, good neighbor, huh?
yeah.
And Ruger. Don't forget.
And don't
And Ruger the dog.